Those of you who have read these things and been offended, have read these things and seen someone that you don't recognize, I am deeply sorry. It's something that I see someone that I don't recognize either, not in who I am today. It is somebody that I do recognize, though. Somebody who is struggling, somebody who is having a very difficult time settling into a society that he felt betrayed by and left behind by after having to go fight in Iraq and Afghanistan. I'm sorry for this.
That right there is Graham Plattner, the breakout Democratic Senate candidate in Maine, challenging Republican Senator Susan Collins. He is responding to the discovery of old Reddit posts he made trashing police officers and calling rural white Americans stupid and in some cases racist. In comments reviewed by NBC News, Plattner also wrote that instead of getting more conservative as he aged, he, quote, got older and became a communist, and referred to himself as a vegetable-growing, psychedelics-taking socialist these days. In other posts from 2013, he minimized challenges faced by service members in reporting sexual assault, writing, quote, you make a choice to consume enough of a substance to lose your self-control. So if you don't want to be in a compromising situation, act like an adult for F's sake. Yesterday, DNC Chair Ken Martin said Plattner's posts were hurtful and offensive, but not disqualifying. But my next guest is accusing the Democratic Party of itself of trying to destroy Plattner's campaign in order to clear the field for current governor and now Senate hopeful Janet Mills, also a Democrat. Joining us now, California Congressman and member of the House Oversight Committee and House Oversight and Accountability Committee, Ro Khanna. Ro, Mr. Congressman, sorry, Congressman Khanna. Getting all mixed up there. That was you who is accusing the Democratic Party of trying to tank Graham Plattner. What exactly are you saying?
Well, first of all, there's no justification for what he wrote, and I unequivocally condemn that, as has Graham Plattner himself. I hope people will watch his 4-minute video because he talked about serving in Iraq and Afghanistan, the stress that caused to him, the stress that caused so many young men, and how he took accountability for his journey and his growth. But what happened, and I have this from sources in his campaign, is that the DSCC, the day that Janet Mills announces, does this Oppo research dump. And you and I know how this works, and it's legal, but that's not the way I think politics ought to be conducted. I don't believe in this politics of personal destruction, especially in our own parties. I wish we were talking about health care costs, about the cost of groceries, about the tax breaks for billionaires, and have a campaign on ideas and give this man who served our country the grace to present his ideas to Maine and the American people.
Well, why don't you think the Democratic Party wants Graham Plattner to run?
Well, look, I mean, Schumer decides who the Senate candidates are. He's putting his thumb on the scale in Maine. He's putting his thumb on the scale in Texas. He's putting his thumb on the scale in Michigan. And you know what? If he was at 50, 60%, fine. But 2/3 of the Democrats are upset with leadership. They want people who are going to question the status quo. They don't like the fact that Bernie Sanders has endorsed him, that I've endorsed him, that he's progressive in his views on Medicare for all, that he's progressive about taxing wealth, that he's progressive on the issue of Gaza. And so they want the standard candidates. Guess what? The standard candidates lost to Donald Trump twice. Guess what? The standard candidates have us down in the House, down in the Senate without the presidency. I think it's time for something different.
Are you, though, worried about some of the things he wrote? And it's not like he wrote them 15, 20 years ago. Some of these things were written just a few years ago. In 2021, he posted bastards, cops are bastards, all of them, in fact. In 2020, he labeled all white Americans in rural areas as racist and stupid. I mean, that's not so distant, that past. Are you worried that that could hurt him, especially in a place like Maine, which has a lot of rural areas?
Look, obviously what he wrote has no justification. I unequivocally condemn it, and he's going to have to explain that, and that's what campaigns are for. And if this was a oppo dump by Republicans, fine. But, you know, why is the DSCC getting involved in it? I think it's perfectly reasonable for him to explain that, and he needs to earn people's trust in doing that. And I think his video goes a long way to doing it. I just hope people would watch those 4 minutes.
All right, let's talk about the shutdown. Are you still comfortable for how long it's lasting and the cost so far that American families are enduring because of it? And if you, comfortable maybe is not the right word, if you still feel like it's important to not give in to the Republican Party, explain the ratio you're working with here. What is the benefit cost ratio?
Well, I'm not comfortable by it. I'm outraged by it. Yesterday, I met the spouse of someone who fixes our submarines, and he's still going into work because our submarines wouldn't work if it weren't for this technician, and he's not getting paid. And what I'm outraged by is that I'm here in the Capitol, many Democrats are here in the Capitol, and Mike Johnson has shut the Capitol down. And why has he shut the Capitol down? He doesn't want to swear in Adelita Grijalva because that would be the 218th signature on Thomas Massie and my petition that would force a vote on the release of the Epstein files. And he knows 50 to 60 of his own members would defect. So what is the consequence of the House being shut down? We can't vote to pay the submarine technician I talked about. We can't vote to pay our federal workers. Let's get back here. Let's vote to pay our federal workers and our troops, and then we can negotiate on the broader issue of the budget.
Do you think it's worth continuing to keep the government closed over these health care subsidies?
If we were paying federal workers and paying the troops, then absolutely we need to make sure that before we pass a Republican budget that has encoded tax breaks for the billionaires, that we get the health care tax credits for ordinary Americans. Otherwise, November 1st, 24 million Americans will see their health care premiums double. But there's no reason that federal workers and our troops need to be suffering in the meantime. Congress should be in session paying them. And I think that's one of the things that hasn't gotten through. There's the broader issue of the shutdown, and then there's federal workers not getting paid. And the only reason federal workers aren't getting paid is because Speaker Johnson doesn't want to vote on the Epstein files.
Hold on. Can you help me understand what you're arguing? You're suddenly going to get part of the government funded if he just comes back and votes on the Epstein files?
I said that yesterday. Yeah, if he swears in Adelita Grijalva, then we would have 218 votes. He just needs to have Congress be in session. He's not having us in session for the past month, even though the Senate has been in session, because he doesn't want to swear in Adelita Grijalva. If Adelita Grijalva gets sworn in, Massie and I have 218 signatures, along with every Democrat and Nancy Mace, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert. 7 days later, we have a vote on the Epstein file.
No,
he doesn't want that.
But
what happens if you...
Well, how do the troops and the federal workers get paid because of a vote on the Epstein files?
Because every Democrat would support a straight, clean bill to pay our troops and pay our federal workers. And the other shutdowns I've been in, usually you have Congress vote to say, OK, we're going to pay our troops and we're going to pay essential workers. We haven't had that vote because Congress is shut down. And so I think that this distinction isn't understood. Yes, government would still be shut down, but people would be getting paid who are going to work if we could just have that vote. We haven't had that vote because Congress has been shut down.
Congressman Khanna, thanks for joining us. Sorry I mangled your title up top there. I appreciate your time as always.
No, Roe is fine. Roe is fine. Thank you.